The rhythmic groan of the oil rig, a mechanical leviathan clawing at the belly of the unforgiving sea, was the only constant in Elias's world. Each shudder, each clang, was a familiar heartbeat against the vast, indifferent ocean. Then, a different kind of tremor vibrated through his pocket, a text message. 3 lines of digital venom that would shatter his carefully constructed reality. Elias and Clara. Their story, once a vibrant tapestry woven with shared dreams and whispered promises, had frayed at the edges over the years, the relentless demands of Elias's offshore work pulling at the threads. He'd chased the black gold across continents, enduring months of isolation, the longing for Clara a dull ache in his chest. He did it for them, for the comfortable life they were building back home in their quiet suburban haven. Clara, a vibrant artist with a spirit as bright as the desert sun she now yearned for, had initially been his anchor, her voice a warm current in his lonely nights. But the distance, the missed anniversaries, the birthdays celebrated through crackling satellite calls, had taken their toll. Their early years were a whirlwind of passionate connection. They met in a bustling art gallery in their university town. Elias, a budding engineer with a pragmatic mind, was captivated by Clara's unrestrained creativity, the way her eyes lit up when she spoke of colors and canvases. Clara, in turn, found solace in Elias's steady presence, a grounding force against her often turbulent artistic temperament. Their courtship was a dance of opposites, a harmonious blend of logic and emotion. Marriage followed, a small, intimate ceremony under the shade of an ancient oak tree, symbolizing their deep roots and enduring love. The decision for Elias to take the overseas oil rig assignment had been a difficult one, born out of a desire to secure their future, to give Clara the freedom to pursue her art without financial constraints. He remembered the tearful goodbye at the airport, Clara's small hand clutching his, her voice thick with unshed tears. "Come back to me safe," she'd whispered, a plea that echoed in his mind during the long, arduous days and nights on the rig. He'd sent her postcards from every port, little tokens of his affection, and called whenever the patchy satellite connection allowed, painting vivid pictures of the sunsets over the ocean and the camaraderie amongst his crewmates. But as the years bled into one another, the frequency of Clara's calls dwindled. Her emails became shorter, less personal. Elias, immersed in the demanding rhythm of the rig, initially attributed it to her focusing on her art. He'd often imagine her in her sun-drenched studio, brushes dancing across the canvas, lost in her creative world. He'd tell himself that her silence was a testament to her dedication, a sacrifice they were both making for their shared future. He clung to the belief that their love, forged in the crucible of their early years, was strong enough to withstand the miles and the silence. He was wrong. Days turned into weeks. Elias finally arrived back in their quiet suburban home. The silence within its walls was deafening, a stark contrast to the constant hum of the oil rig. He found the house stripped bare, the furniture gone, the walls echoing with the ghosts of their shared life. The bank accounts were indeed empty. But amidst the emptiness, a flicker of resolve ignited within him. Clara had underestimated him. She had mistaken his quiet dedication for weakness, his stoicism for passivity. He didn't descend into despair. Instead, he began to meticulously review their financial records, his engineering mind dissecting years of transactions, investments, and shared assets. He discovered something Clara had overlooked, something she hadn't anticipated in her hasty and self-serving departure. A significant portion of their investments was held in offshore accounts, meticulously managed by Elias and legally solely in his name. These were long-term holdings, intended for their retirement, a nest egg Clara hadn't even been fully aware of. He contacted his financial advisor, a discreet and seasoned professional who had handled his offshore accounts for years. The advisor confirmed the legal standing of the assets. A plan began to form in Elias's mind, not one of vengeful retribution, but of quiet, decisive action. He wouldn't engage in a messy public battle. He would simply reclaim what was rightfully his, the fruits of his years of arduous labor. Clara, meanwhile, was enjoying her new life, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface of Elias's silence. She posted sun-drenched photos on social media, showcasing her new home, her new partner, and her seemingly carefree existence. She occasionally thought of Elias, picturing him still toiling away on the rig, a pang of guilt quickly dismissed by the intoxicating allure of her newfound freedom. Then came the first subtle tremor. A notification from her bank, informing her of an overdraft fee. Confused, she checked her account balance. It was alarmingly low. She tried to access their joint savings account online, but the login credentials no longer worked. Panic began to set in, a cold dread that mirrored the one Elias had felt weeks earlier. She tried to contact Elias, but his phone went straight to voicemail. His email address was no longer active. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. The realization dawned on her, slow and terrifying. Elias hadn't just accepted her departure, he had acted. The Palm Springs sun beat down mercilessly as Clara frantically tried to piece together the fragments of her unraveling reality. Kai, initially supportive, grew increasingly agitated as their financial situation deteriorated. The lavish dinners and spontaneous road trips ceased. The mid-century modern dream house suddenly felt like a gilded cage. Clara finally managed to reach Elias's sister, Sarah, a woman who had always harbored reservations about Clara. Sarah's voice on the phone was cold and unsympathetic. "Elias is fine, Clara. He's taken care of things." When Clara pressed for details, Sarah simply hung up. Desperate, Clara hired a lawyer in Palm Springs, a slick, tanned man who listened to her story with a detached air. He informed her that without any legal documentation proving her ownership of the offshore accounts, her chances of recovering the funds were slim to none. The money, he explained, was legally Elias's. The full weight of her impulsive actions crashed down on Clara. The thrill of her new romance had blinded her to the long-term consequences of her betrayal. She had gambled everything on a fleeting infatuation, believing she could simply walk away with the financial security Elias had painstakingly built. She had underestimated his quiet strength, his capacity for strategic action. One sweltering afternoon, a process server arrived at their Palm Springs home, handing Clara a thick envelope. Inside were divorce papers, filed by Elias. The accompanying letter was brief and to the point. "You wished me good luck, Clara. I suggest you take your own advice." Kai's reaction was not the supportive embrace Clara had hoped for. Faced with the reality of their dwindling finances and Clara's mounting legal troubles, his youthful ardor cooled rapidly. Arguments became frequent, the once harmonious melodies of his guitar replaced by bitter accusations. The dream of a bohemian life in the desert evaporated like a mirage. The climax arrived not in a dramatic confrontation, but in a quiet, devastating realization. Clara stood in the empty living room of their rented house, the desert wind whispering through the open windows, carrying with it the scent of blooming jasmine, a scent that now felt heavy with irony. Kai had packed his meager belongings and left, his farewell a curt text message mirroring her own. "This isn't working out." Clara was alone. Stripped of her marriage, her financial security, and her impulsive new love. The vibrant colors of Palm Springs suddenly seemed garish, the endless sunshine a cruel mockery of her inner turmoil. Elias did not gloat. He did not seek public vindication. He simply rebuilt his life, piece by quiet piece. He returned to his work on the oil rig, finding a strange solace in the familiar rhythm and the camaraderie of his crewmates. He invested wisely, his financial future secure. He learned to live with the quiet ache of betrayal, not allowing it to define him. Years passed. Clara's life in Palm Springs did not blossom as she had envisioned. Her art career stalled, her fleeting romance with Kai a bitter memory. She moved from one temporary job to another, the desert sun no longer a symbol of freedom but a harsh reminder of her isolation. The money she had taken dwindled, mismanaged and spent on fleeting pleasures. One cool desert evening, Clara found herself staring at a news article online. It featured a philanthropic foundation established by a man named Elias Thorne, dedicated to supporting the families of offshore oil workers. The accompanying photo was of a slightly older, wiser-looking Elias, a quiet dignity etched on his face. A wave of regret, sharp and visceral, washed over her. She tried to reach out, sending a hesitant email, a fragile olive branch extended across the digital void. She didn't ask for forgiveness, merely a chance to explain, to perhaps understand the chasm that had grown between them. Elias replied, months later, a brief and polite message: "Clara, I wish you well." It was not a door slammed shut, but a gentle closing, a finality that spoke volumes. He had moved on, not with bitterness, but with a quiet acceptance of the past. The tale of Elias and Clara is not a simple story of betrayal and revenge. It is a testament to the enduring power of quiet strength, the unforeseen consequences of impulsive actions, and the complex tapestry of human relationships. Clara's text message, intended to be a swift and decisive severing, inadvertently set in motion a chain of events that revealed the true character of both individuals. Elias's calm reply was not acceptance, but a silent declaration of self-respect and a foreshadowing of a future Clara could never have imagined. The deep silence of the rig had given way to the deeper silence of a love irrevocably lost, a stark reminder that sometimes, the most profound actions are those spoken without a single word. The cosmic loop of their shared history had finally unwound, leaving them on separate paths, forever marked by the choices they had made amidst the vast and indifferent ocean of life. The end.